What is up, YouTube fam? This is your host JB360. So I figured I'd make this sort of pocket bike video, a little bit of an update on the build, some things that have gone good and some things that have gone not so good. So I figured I'd kind of detail just basically the status of it and some unfortunate things, obviously. But overall, just to kind of like talk about the build, it has definitely been one of the more challenging projects that I've worked on with e-bikes. A lot of the stuff has been sourced from Singapore and, you know, various places like Amazon as well. And it's just sort of been a little bit hectic trying to get everything sort of situated and ordered in time. And communication has been sparse at times. So it's definitely been difficult to kind of like progress with the build. But I guess we can start with the bad news. The bad news. Just to give you an idea, I was actually 90% done with this bike. I'll probably say 85% done with this bike. I had both motors installed on the front and the rear over here. And yeah, for some reason, you know, a lot of these distributors or manufacturers, when they ship the motors out, the polarity is not always the same, meaning when you install the phase wires, they're not always color coded the right way. So like there are times where you'll get color matching with like with blue, green, and yellow, and you can, you know, automatically match it to the controller here. But other times you have to reverse polarity and switch them. Primarily the green and blue in this situation, right? I'd gotten to basically the part where, you know, I was testing out the motor, I had the tunes down, but the motors were both running in opposite directions. In order for them to move the correct direction, you do have to reverse the blue and green phase wires, or sometimes you have to kind of like test them out, like, you know, swap yellow with blue, green with blue, and then even in some senses have to switch out the hall sensor. So, you know, I went through the steps, reversing the wiring for the phase wires here. I have a little terminal box that I'm using here to sort of match everything up. So yeah, you know, I had it where blue was with green, green was with blue. And what I didn't do, my one mistake was I didn't switch the hall sensors. So there was actually an additional step. Usually it would only require you to swap these out, the phase wires, but in certain cases you have to swap out the hall sensor wires, like yellow with blue or blue with green, so on and so forth. I tried one combination out and the motor actually sounded kind of like janky. I don't know how to describe it. It didn't sound smooth. It was more so like a brrr, almost like a growling sound, right? So I hit the throttle, right? It did the growling sound, and I was like, huh, that's funny. And then I hit the throttle again, and the phase wires on the front started smoking, and it actually melted the casing around the wires. But in all, it shorted out the motor. And if you can see here, I got this from Falcon PEV, just a reminder, but these phase wires are thin as fuck. Like these are, I don't know what gauge these are. These must be like 22 gauge or 23 gauge. I have no idea, but they're super tiny, which means the current running through it, you know, was a lot stronger, and it just literally melted it. In hindsight, I should have maybe equipped this motor with thicker phase wires, maybe increase the gauge a bit, but this is how they were shipped, and this was what Falcon PV recommended. So yeah, the thing melted all the way down, all the way to the base part here of the motor. So this is the 4,500 watt motor, and yeah, I've just been having issues with it from the start. When they shipped this to me, actually, the motor was bent along the rim over here. You can't see it here because the tire's on, but the motor was like slightly bent. There was like a portion, like maybe like an inch, that was bent. I messaged them and I was like, was this messed up in shipping? You know, was this sent to me like that? I had no idea. and they never really got back to me on the subject, and were saying it was probably damage in shipping, but they don't cover that, so it was just a mess. So yeah, the phase wires melted, and you know, I was basically out of the motor. So yeah, I finally did get the combination going. So the correct combination for these particular motors coming from Falcon PUV is swapping the blue and green phase wires, but also swapping the blue and yellow hall wires. So that's what I did. And of course, right after the front motor burned out, I was able to get the combination correct on the rear, so that works. I'll actually throw in some footage of how the motors both fared, like when they were running in reverse. You can kind of see how powerful both motors are running at the same time. Just the amount of RPMs it's producing is kind of crazy. Go check it out. I'm kind of scared to fully engage the throttle because it's already producing crazy RPMs. So I'm going to run a little test just on the rear motor just to show you how powerful it is. It's kind of insane. I'm almost scared to like kind of full throttle it. So right now I have it at 73.5 volts with the battery. So yeah, let's check it out. Yeah, so I had checked the app to see how fast it was going without any load. I think it was hitting almost like 70 miles an hour, but who knows how much it's gonna be able to produce with some weight on it. But overall, the build has been definitely challenging at times. This fork, just in general, has sort of been a pain, mainly because of this headset. The top and the bottom has just been a headache, just trying to get everything lined up and closed off. Getting in the top crown, but then also lining everything up with the base here. It's quite difficult. Had to do a little finagling and trying out different headsets here and there, but I think I got it to a place that I wanted it to. With the build, just to give you guys an idea of the layout that I have. So here I have two controllers, got two YYK controllers, 80 amp over here, 80 amp over here. Keep this one covered within the case here, right? Have the one underneath here mounted. This is actually screwed in. I just have extra like Velcro straps and what do you call it? Zip tie just to kind of keep it in place. But that one is running all the way down here to the rear motor. And then this top controller will actually connect to the front motor. So I mentioned some bad news before, but the good news is I actually just got in the front motor from Falcon PUV. Had to order a new one. So I actually originally ordered the front 4,500 watt motor, which for some reason, I don't know why they kind of like packaged it as like a front and a rear. I should have just went with two rears in the first place. So I finally got the rear 5,000 watt motor that I'm going to be putting into the front here. Just got to swap out the tires, obviously, and the tubes. But yeah, so it'll be two 5,000 watts running for this build. And also, just a note, if anybody is planning on getting from Falcon, definitely make sure that they send you these rotors, because these rotors are proprietary. They don't really sell them separately. You kind of have to check, almost like check any distributors in like Singapore or AliExpress that sell it, but they always sell this with the motor. And then when I got my rear motor from Falcon PV, it did not come with this rotor, and it took me forever to kind of get in touch with somebody and to get them to sort that out. But I think they finally got my complaints about it, and they shipped it with the rotor on, which I'm very, very happy about. And also, when you guys get your motors with the Hall sensors, they come with the pins, so you can actually put these in like a 5-pin connector, which makes it a lot easy to connect to the controller. So yeah, just to kind of go through the rest of the build here, I have the signal wire from the throttle. Obviously you guys saw before, I have the voltmeter attached to the throttle, also with the key ignition start, which is plugged into the battery. Have both signal wires kind of spliced here, right there, spliced in, and that's running both motors at the same time. So if anybody's wondering, I am not running a single motor option. You know, like some scooters, they have the single and dual motor option. This is going to be straight up raw power, so dual motors all the time. The battery here, I'm running a 25 amp hour moly cell pack. Originally I was going to go with 58 amp hours. That was going to encompass basically the whole frame here, but I had issues in terms of, well, not issues, more so worries about the weight and how the frame would handle it, so I stuck with 25 amp hours. I think in the future or down the road I'm going to be adding in another little battery, sort of triangle battery, to this section here. So I have here my old X-Class battery from MB Power. So this battery I'm planning on putting in here. I know it doesn't look like it fits, but let's see. I'm doing this with one hand. Putting in the triangle pack within here. It's hard to kind of like see it obviously this close, but the thing that I would have to do is cut this crossbar right here. I'll probably just, you know, saw this part off so that the battery can slip in just like that, right? So what I would do is actually move this controller that's under the frame and then put it in the front over here. There's like a nice little sort of cavity section here that I can mount the controller to. So that's for future plans. I do want to see how far the 25 amp hour takes me. As you can see, I have the controllers paralleled, connected both into the main battery here. Also, I forgot to mention, big shout out to Sal, man. He went out of his way to get the frame powder coated, and I really absolutely love this green. It was exactly what I was looking for, some like candy apple green. For this bike, or this pocket bike, I plan on calling the Roadrunner GT. E-move, don't sue me. GT standing for Green Thing, aka Green Goblin. I actually don't have brake lights installed just yet, but I plan on getting actually a harness made, have regen for the bike, but also to have like a rear light function here. So yeah, my goal was really to kind of build my own Tronic in a sense. If you guys are familiar with the Roadrunner Tronic, it's running the same thing, two 5,000 watt motors, but it's running Tronic controllers. So that would be the main difference there. Other mods that I plan on doing, I'm looking to add this little headlight here. It's running off of a 12-volt source, but I'm actually having Sal put together a harness for me, which I'll be able to kind of splice in the front lights and some signal lights as well. But I just thought this light was pretty cool. Check this out, guys. So that's regular beam, that's high beam. Then we got some color action going on. You can like kind of cycle through the colors. There's a pulse. Yeah, I like the pulse better. But yeah, man, this thing is so badass. I love the skull. This headlight was actually purchased from evmod.us, and I actually also got some other goodies from them. ended up getting rear headlights. Sorry, rear brake lights, signal lights. Also some other mounts here for the lights, including a horn, which is pretty nice, pretty sweet. More signal lights here. Yeah. I know the wiring setup is a little funky right now, but I'm definitely going to be, you know, fixing everything up, doing a little bit of wire management here, just covering all this stuff up. I also want to get some acrylic panels made for the frame here, just to kind of cover this little Dorito triangle part right here. Also on the other side, just to kind of give it like a nice like finished look. But yeah, I'll be getting some wire covers for these, organizing a lot of the components here so that it's not so messy. So yeah guys, the build overall is almost done. I'm just about there. I'm gonna be I actually just received that motor today, so I'm gonna be swapping out the old motor. This motor's trash. So I'm gonna be taking out the tires from here. These tires, by the way, are from Max. I've heard some good things about this tire, pretty heavy duty, and these fit the 12-inch motors pretty well actually. So I'm going to be swapping out those tires and putting them in the new motor here because they fit pretty well. Headlight will be going over here. For now also, I'm actually using the stock seat, but I may at some point get a custom seat made just for this bike. This build has been great so far. There are definitely some pros and cons to going this route, the DIY route, but it's definitely fun kind of like going through the whole problem solving route, you know, just figuring out things that work for you, what don't work. So definitely a lot of lessons learned in that aspect. Anyways guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and hope you guys tune in for some more down the road. And please be sure to like, comment, or even subscribe. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace, y'all.